This is the Bates Bobcast, our weekly podcast where we take a look at the week that was in Bates athletics. My name is Aaron Morse, and this week we are recapping an amazing Maine State Meet that saw the women's and the men's track and field teams tie Bowdoin for first place in the exact same way. Plus, women's basketball is on a roll. The skiing teams hosted the Bates Carnival, and it's time to preview the baseball season. All that and more coming up on the Bates Bobcast. The Maine State Meet for the track and field teams ended in incredible fashion. Not only did both the women and the men tie Bowdoin for first, both teams did it in the same way, with the Bobcats winning the 4x800 relay, which concludes the meet. Neither the men nor the women's meet had ever ended in a tie, and this year both did. On the women's side, sophomore Elise Lambert set a PR and won the 600 meters, placed second in the high jump, and anchored the victorious 4x800 relay, clinching the tie for first for Bates. And she is our female Bobcat of the week. Elise, what a crazy Maine State meet. The women ended in a tie. 4x800 relay, had to win it. You anchored it. What was going through your mind there?
Well, I didn't know that I had to win it to tie the meet. I actually thought that we sort of had the win on lock. So I was just there doing it to have fun, just see what I could do. When
did you find out that it actually was very crucial that you had won that race?
Not until afterward. As soon as I finished, my coach came over and gave me a hug, and then all my teammates were like, we were really excited because you had to do that, and it was a really good feeling. It was a lot of fun.
And how crazy was that overall? I mean, having both meets end the same way.
I mean, that was just insane. I don't think that's ever happened in the history of the state meet for however long they've been going on. And so to contribute to such a historic victory, or not really a victory, but to such a historic result was really important to me.
So the team, I mean, I guess you share the trophy. I mean, who has the trophy right now anyway?
I think Bowdoin has the trophy because we decided we've had it for the past 6 years.
Oh, how nice of you.
They should be able to look at, the 7 Bates that are on there. So, yeah.
This year it'll be Bates/Bowdoin.
Bates/Bowdoin,
yeah. But so I mean, for you had a personal record earlier, right, in the 600. So, what's been that building up in the training process and whatnot from that?
I mean, yeah, it was really nice to see or to get a PR in the 600. I haven't raced it in a little while, and the state meet last year was also when I PR'd in the 600. So it was just nice to see that I'm still hitting what I was hitting last year and still working towards improving.
And this was a 4x800 to finish the meet, but I know last year you were part of the DMR, right? Mm-hmm. And so how does that kind of go in terms of which relays you're in each week, or depending on the meet, I guess?
It just depends on really when we run the DMR.
Yeah.
If we only run the DMR at certain meets, so usually when we do, I'm in the 800 leg. So.
And what's that like maybe compared to the 4x8?
Very different energy. I think there's a lot more, I mean, obviously it's an exception for this meet, but usually there's a lot more energy in a DMR, just having people coming in at different speeds, handing off at different speeds, and just the whole dynamic of having people doing different distances in one relay, it adds a lot to it.
And then this year also, the other change this year was because of the weather, women and men, same night, same location. That hasn't happened before in the Maine State Meet either. So what was that dynamic like?
It was a lot of fun. I really appreciated just how many people were there for support. At the beginning of the meet, it felt a little weird. It felt like it should have felt more energetic, and there should have been more energy. But once the events got started, you really saw men supporting women and women supporting men, and it was really awesome to have everybody there together.
Certainly, and then you also get some a jumping event in too, right? Mm-hmm. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so high jump, just I do it for fun. Sometimes score some points. Yeah. So it definitely wasn't the priority this weekend, but I didn't do as well as I would have hoped. But at the same time, it was nice to be able to get points for the team in that other event and help contribute to our success.
High jump, have you been doing that for a while now, since high school, or is that something newer for you?
Yeah, I started high jumping when I was a sophomore in high school. I kind of dabbled in everything before, and I was, yeah.
Seems like the 600 and the 800, though, that's kind of your sweet spot, if you will, right?
Yeah, I've been running middle distance since I was in elementary school.
Yeah. So. Great. So as a sophomore now, what's it been like? After getting your feet wet last year in a significant way, I suppose. Yeah.
There is a certain amount of sort of pressure to live up to last year's expectations and to continue to run around the times that I was running last year. But it's also just a lot more fun being on the team as a sophomore. I know a lot more people. I'm a lot more comfortable, and yeah, it's been a really positive experience so far.
Great. Elise Lambert, our female Bobcat of the Week. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
On the men's side, junior John Rex captured the Peter Goodrich Memorial Award for field athletes. Rex won the weight throw with a new personal record of 60 feet 8 inches, moving into 9th place on Bates' all-time performance list. Rex is our male Bobcat of the Week, and he joins the Bobcast along with his friend Ryan Nealis. Nealis won the meet's Most Valuable Track Athlete Award after capturing first place in the 800 meters and second place in the mile, and helping Bates win the 4x800 blackout relay, clinching the first place tie.
Yeah, I think going into that 4x8, we knew we had to beat Bowdoin in order to get a tie. And I think all of us, we got together and after the race, we were like, there's got to be some sort of tiebreaker here. There's got to be some rule, but I guess this is the first time it's ever happened, so they haven't accounted for that yet in the bylaws of the Maine State Meet. So, but yeah, I mean, it was just. We were projected to lose by about 46 points. So the fact that we were able to come back and battle, and everyone was able to beat their seed, and just really go out there and grind, we'll take a tie as a W on that one.
And John, PR for you you're, again in the weight throw, and not only that, moving into top 10 in program history. What does that mean to you?
I was really excited. I was just a couple centimeters shy of it the first meet, and I had some meets in between that where I didn't quite have the mark I wanted to, but and doing it at the Maine State Meet is super special because I had my whole team backing me up and everyone was there to cheer me on. There's a lot of good energy, and I think that definitely contributed towards it, and I'd love for we just had some really stellar, amazing performances this weekend, and I'd love to continue that energy into the meets to come.
I know you were battling an injury earlier, but you were able to get back into the shot put as well, right? And win that?
Yes, sir. So I came back for this meet in the shot put. I'm not really sure what the future holds this indoor season quite yet in terms of throwing more shot put. It's something I have to talk to Coach about. But, I was really excited to come back, a little nervous because coming off of injury is never easy, and I'm still sort of battling the injury, and it's slowly going away. So I've been doing a lot of PT to sort of be ready for outdoors, and that's really the big goal, is to come back for outdoors in the shot put. But it was awesome throwing shot put at the state meet, and I didn't really think I was capable of doing what I was doing, but I kind of surprised myself, and it ended up going really well. So yeah.
Terrific. Ryan, the 4x800 blackout relay, you'd done it before. What was it like this time around, the second time?
Oh, it was electric.
Yeah,
I think our whole team this year, there's so much good energy going on. So many people are bought into what, something special that we're trying to build. And, every time that you pass that, our fan section coming down that home stretch, you throw in a surge and you make sure that you're looking good because those boys have your back, and it's a great feeling.
And then you went third, right, in the 4x8. And
yeah.
So what was it like watching the anchor leg and seeing the team clinch the win there?
I was a little tired after 3 events, so I was huffing and puffing for a little bit on the first 2 laps. But to watch John just go out and hammer, it was great. We didn't take our foot off the gas at all in that 4x8, and we sent a message that we're here to compete, and that we'd run all the way through the line. So yeah, it was just a great way to cap off a really special night for us.
And then John, watching from the sidelines, do you know what was at stake in terms of the overall points?
So I actually was watching it first, and I thought that at first I thought that if we won the race, then we would win the meet. But then I looked back at the scoreboard and I was like, no, Bowdoin have to come in third for us to win, and I'm not sure that's going to happen. So we're going to tie. And I was like, all right, yeah. As fresh. As Neil said too, we really we didn't go into this meet thinking, we believed we could win, but I'm sure Bowdoin didn't think we were going to give the fight that we did. And, we didn't let them have the win. We shared the win with them. And I was saying to Coach this morning, they didn't really protect their house. We sort of moved in with them. So it was definitely awesome to see that. And, and it was just a huge honor to compete, and it always is. And a great time.
Yeah, because we touched on it. It's a tie, but it sounds like one team was maybe a little bit more happy with the tie than the other, perhaps.
Yeah, definitely. We were taking a joint picture with Bowdoin, and I think we had more smiles than they did. So, that was definitely meant a lot more to us to go there, and as Johnny said, move into their house and sort of share that with them.
How crazy was it to see the women also tie?
Yeah, that was what made it super weird.
Yeah.
Because we've never seen that before, and this is actually the first time that we've shared the same track with the women's team for the Maine State Meet. And I thought it was really special and really cool because I wasn't just feeding off the energy from the guys' team, but also the girls' team. And, we're all such good friends. We all know each other so well. So it's awesome to be there for each other during that, really special time. And it was just it just brought so much more energy having the women there as well and sharing that space with them.
And Ryan, you touched on the 3 events you ran there. The others were the mile and the 800, along with the 4x8. With the women being there, that actually gave you a little bit more rest between events, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, anytime you triple, though, you go to the well. So it was definitely tough, but this state meet means a lot to our team, means a lot to our program, and 53 years of this meet. All the guys in the program that have. We think of, legends in our program, and a lot of those legends were born at the Maine State Meet. And so, just any time that you can go out and compete, Johnny will, injured in the shot put, but that wasn't going to stop him. And we throw our bodies for this meet, and it's something that we hold very close to our heart.
How special is it to get the most valuable field athlete and have Ryan have a most valuable track there?
Yeah, it was definitely really special. It's something we've dreamed about a lot, and it was really special to share that moment together because if one of us got it, of course we'd be happy for each other, but it was even more special that we both got it. We've been friends since day one of college, so it was really, really special, and I was super pumped for the both of us. And it was also really special to get the Goodrich Award because I actually bested his mark, sort of took him off the top 10 list, but I'd like to say that I did that in his honor and I wasn't trying to purposely kick him off.
Sure.
So it was really special to get that award. From what Fresh told me, he was a great guy, and it was definitely a big loss losing him in 9/11. So yeah, it was a huge honor.
Certainly. And then, any other thoughts you wanted to share about the meet that we haven't discussed yet, Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, just huge shout out to our whole team and our coaches. Everyone really came out to play, and the support that our coaches given us and believe in us. We couldn't, Johnny and I think everyone else on the team, we had a lot of people stepped up. Bo Feast, Brendan, doing crazy events, crazy doubles, Bart in the 5 and the mile. None of that would have been possible without the belief that we have in each other and the support that we get from our coaches.
How about you, John?
Yeah, I totally agree with Nealis, and just going forward, it'd be great to just continue this great team energy that we have going, and I see a lot of really good things for our team in the future, so in the near future. So yeah, overall great meet, great weekend, looking forward to many more.
Sounds good. John Rex, Ryan Nealis, thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
While the men's basketball team split a pair of games on the road with Connecticut College and Trinity, the women's basketball team went 3-0 last week, including NESCAC wins over both the Camels and Bantams in Alumni Gym. Sophomore Meghan Graff averaged 20.7 points, 4.3 assists, and 4 rebounds per game. Her clutch baskets and Bates victories helped the Bobcats climb into 7th place in the league standings. Graff scored 7 points in the fourth quarter as Bates outscored Conn College 18-9 to take the victory. She then netted 6 points in the fourth quarter of the Trinity win. And Meghan Graff is the NESCAC and the Maine Women's Basketball Player of the Week.
I think it's really cool, and especially coming off such a great weekend that the team had. Getting recognized for something like this is cool, but I'm just happy we went 2-0 this weekend, and I'm excited to see where this upcoming weekend takes us.
Yeah, so looking back on this past weekend, were they similar games, or you find them very different, those two?
Well, I think the importance of both games were the same.
Sure.
But I think each team was different in their own way. I know that when we played against Conn, we knew we had to play really, really good defense. And then when we played against Trinity, we knew we were going to be playing against some really tough defense. So we kind of prepared differently for each game, but at this point, like, the stakes are the same. They're still pretty high. Like, we got to string together some wins this week, so.
Well, it's interesting, yeah, you mentioned that the Connecticut College game, Bates was the one doing the rallying down the stretch, ending that game on a 13-0 run. And then the Trinity game, though, Bates was the one holding off the Bantams. For you, I mean, do you have a preference there? Do you like to rally, or do you like to try to hold them off?
That's a good question. I think rallying's always fun because you just have so much momentum and it makes the game really fun. And I think coming back is always just like really intense and whatnot, but also holding off, like holding, just like keeping it together for the last like 5 minutes of a game is, I think that's where you're most vulnerable to like making mistakes or turning the ball over, because at that point you're kind of like playing not to lose instead of playing to win, because you're like, you have the lead, but you just have to like sustain it. But a win's a win, so we're happy about that.
Yeah, and there against Trinity at the end, I thought Taylor McVeigh did a great job on defense, and then Arie surging in for that rebound.
Yeah.
What was that like from your perspective on defense there?
It was really, really cool, and I think Tay and Arie are just such reliable defenders. They do a lot for us on both ends of the court, but I mean, it was awesome, but it's not a surprise to me. They always are rebounding the ball. They're always playing great defense. They're always in the right spot. So, yeah.
And then this season for the women, it ends with so many home games in a row. So far, so good with 3 straight victories. Williams and Middlebury coming in. What are your thoughts on this upcoming weekend?
It's going to be a really fun weekend. I mean, it's Mel's senior night on Saturday, and it's also our last regular season game. So I think we're just going to be playing, making the most of it, just enjoying playing together as a team and playing hard. We're all competitors. We love to compete. So I think just making the most out of this last weekend. Yeah,
Mel, the lone senior on this team. It's a big sophomore class. I think we've talked about this before, but what does this sophomore class, you being part of it, mean to you? Because I think Mia Roy mentioned that when she was being recruited, Allison said this is a chance to really build up the program.
Yeah.
Do you have similar message?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think this sophomore class has a lot of talent, and there's a lot of us. And I think our coach had a plan to really hit a turning point with the basketball program, and I think we're a large part of it, as well as everyone else on the team. But it's definitely been an interesting dynamic, just figuring out everyone's roles, having one lone senior and then having 7 sophomores along with the first years. But it's been a really fun learning process, figuring it out, and it's definitely made us all more mature. In the sense of being leaders and as teammates.
And one thing that happened last week was against New England College. Amari Williams, her first game back.
Yeah.
How cool was that to see?
Oh, it was awesome, and we were all so happy for her. I think coming back from an injury is such a long process, and it can be frustrating sometimes, and you can lose motivation sometimes. And I think especially the journey she was on, that she just she deserved that, and I'm excited to see where next season takes her, because she's a really talented player.
Great. Well, and your thoughts on the season so far? Obviously, we've had this home dynamic once again. The team is 9-2 at home.
We love playing in alumni. We're always talking about alumni magic. It's just a really cool atmosphere to play in. I mean, it's a small, intimate gym, so things can get noisy in there pretty quickly, and we always love that. And I think, especially after last year, having an away schedule, and I think we only had 2 conference games at home, maybe. I could be wrong. But and then this year, getting so many conference games at home, we really wanted to make the most of it. So it's a lot of fun playing in the gym.
And I just actually did want to touch on the National Girls and Women's Sports Day. What was it like to have that support also behind you?
It was surprising, because when we were running out, they made this huge tunnel for us, and we just thought it was going to be this small tunnel, and it was this huge tunnel they made for us, and it was just really nice to see everyone coming out to support us, but just supporting such a great thing. We're so lucky to get the opportunity we do to play sports, especially like just to see how much times have changed and whatnot. So it was really cool, and it gave us even more of an incentive to want to win. So.
All right, Meghan Graff,
Yeah.
NESCAC Women's Basketball Player of the Week. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
The skiing teams hosted the Bates Carnival over the weekend, combined to finish 7th out of 14 schools. In Alpine skiing, sophomore Arie van Vuuren led the way with his first career top 10 finish, finishing 9th out of 70 men in the giant slalom.
Yeah, in the GS, the first run I skied really well, and then second run I had a couple mistakes, but was able to hold on and I only moved back one place, so yeah, it was very solid.
So a couple mistakes in the middle of the run. How do you adjust when that happens?
Well, second run when that happened, it was close to the bottom of the course, so just try and stay on line, but I managed it somewhat all right, so it worked out.
I know I talked to Michael Cooper, I think it was last week, talking about how they were a little concerned about the weather that was coming into Sunday River. How did it end up holding up over the weekend?
Yeah, the slalom, it wasn't particularly nice out. It was snowing or half raining or doing whatever it was doing. But the snow was actually really good for the slalom, surprisingly. And then the GS, the snow was more or less all right. It got a little bit chattery towards the second run at the end, but it was a lot better than we had expected, so it was good.
And the team, I mean, it seems like any given week, 4 or 5 athletes can get top 30, it seems like. What's happened like to see this depth this team has this year?
Yeah, it's been really exciting, especially compared to last year. We're, as a whole, we're a lot stronger. So, I mean, when the guys' team, especially when we ski well as a group, we were 4th
Right.
last weekend in the GS at Bates, but we're either 4, 5, or 6. So we're competing this year, which is really exciting.
And then what was it like to be on your home mountain? I mean, just in general, just to have, the place you're so familiar with, I guess, right?
It's definitely an advantage for sure because we've skied that hill a million times. And yeah, I mean, it's definitely helpful. So it's nice to ski on our own hill.
Is the process of hosting any different for the student athletes, or do you just focus? It's just like any other carnival?
I mean, no, there's nothing really that's any different. I mean, maybe the one thing that's different is that a lot of the families come out to watch. So a lot of people had their parents there. I had my parents there, and that was their one race that they came to. So it's a little bit more homey feeling, which is nice, but otherwise it's the same. There's no difference.
Yeah. What do you have upcoming next? Your next carnival coming up here?
Yeah, it's over at Williams, Jiminy Peak, and that's Friday, Saturday.
And what do you know about that course? Anything?
I've never skied there before, so I don't know.
So in this situation, when you've never skied a course before, how do you approach things compared to when you are so familiar with the course like this past week?
I mean, maybe you spend a little bit more time in inspection trying to figure out the course, but it's more or less exactly the same. There's not much of a difference. For you, last year you had, was your rookie season at Bates, right? You took a couple gap years, right? Yeah, I took 2.
And how did you feel those maybe prepared you for last season, or did they perhaps?
I mean, they helped in terms of my skiing, obviously, because I spent 2 years doing nothing but
Yeah.
ski racing. And I think they helped as well in terms of academics because I wasn't burnt out when I came into school. So I think that was helpful also. But
What are you studying here at Bates?
economics and German double major.
Nice. Is that something you were thinking about right from the get-go? Or
I don't know, not really. I was kind of interested in economics, but I wasn't fully set on it. And the German, I kind of just added that second too, because why not, I guess.
So what do you learn so far from, like Michaela Holland from a skiing perspective that has helped you, improve, from year to year perhaps?
I mean, in terms of like my own skiing, there's been a couple things that we've been working on this year. I think in general, the role of a coach in college is quite a bit different from what you have, at least what I had during my gap years when I had a coach and there was 7 of us or whatnot, and instead now we have 20 whatever athletes and we have 2 coaches. So she's doing a little bit more of just a managing in general. But, I mean, there's definitely been a couple of things that she's been working on with me this year that have really helped my skiing.
What are those perhaps?
Specifically, I mean, this might sound like some technical jargon, but I've been, in slalom especially, I've been working on trying to get my hips coming in at the top of the turn and not pushing my feet out. And then in GS, just in general, not coming up in my transition. I I mean, that may not make sense to a lot of people, but
Well, for those who don't understand, coming up in a transition, what is that?
it basically, for me at least, it detaches me from the snow. It kind of ruins the top of the next turn so that you're not grounded, and then, I mean, it basically just makes you slower is what it does.
So do you all, I mean, obviously I've seen the great videos that Josh Turner has been doing, but do you take, like, video from, like, an actual, like, technical perspective to, like, see what you're doing out there, or how does that kind of work?
Yeah, Michaela does video every day. We
Yeah.
have training or races, and then uploads it, and then we can watch it. But that's kind of on your own. You watch it by yourself, and you can see what you're doing.
What are some goals you have in mind kind of going forward this year? A few more carnivals remaining, and then obviously, I guess NCAA is a possibility if you record a few more top 10s, right?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of goals, I don't know. I'm just going to go out there and keep my same process that I've been doing on race day and just see what happens. So there's nothing any specific that I want to do. I mean, obviously another top 10 would be nice, but I'm just going to go out there and ski and then see what happens.
Sounds good. Arie van Vuuren, thanks so much. Appreciate it.
I get.
Senior captain Kalen Woods and junior Tucker Barber led the Nordic teams both days at Black Mountain, with Woods placing 10th in the classical technique race. But depth matters, and junior Maya Seckinger provided exactly that for Bates, taking 18th in the classic race and 36th in the freestyle. Well, Maya, Bates Carnival over the weekend. What was it like, hosting, all the EISA Nordic skiers coming into town and whatnot to Rumford?
Oh, it was so fun. It's always just like the best time racing at Rumford and having the home course advantage. And I think unbiasedly, or maybe biasedly, it's the best course on the whole circuit. So it was a great weekend.
What makes the Rumford course so great in your opinion?
Really good climbs. The downhills are fun and manageable. Good spectating. It's just a fun course.
And the mass start, the first race of the weekend, how does that work typically for you? I've talked with Kalen and some others about, at the very beginning, it's very crucial, right, to get off to a clean start?
Yeah, so the beginning is super important. I was seated really far back in 63rd, so that had led to some difficulties, I would say. I had to get through a lot of people, and it was just a mess. There were people breaking poles and falling, so it's just a scramble the first little bit to get out and try to move up as fast as you can.
Were you pretty happy with the results considering the seed you had coming in?
Super happy. I also crashed. I broke a boot. It was kind of a hard day, but finishing 18th was pretty surprising, and really I worked hard and I was really happy with it.
Well, so you got to tell me about this crash. You were able to recover from that and get a top 20 finish?
Yeah, in the first 5K I was just coming down the hill, and I don't really know what happened, but I crashed and 6 girls passed me, and I thought about giving up, and I was like, no, it's going to be a good day, and passed them back at some point and kept climbing up every lap.
What's the approach there, to get started again, kind of?
I don't know, just mental toughness. You just have to keep going. Yeah.
Certainly, and I think you were skiing with Kalen for a little bit there, right? Was that pretty exciting?
Yeah, I could see her. I was a little bit behind for sure, but it was good. It's always fun to ski with your teammates, and I skied with a lot of them starting so far back. I would ski with them and keep going, so it was fun for sure.
Tell us about Saturday's race. Saturday
was a 5-kilometer skate. I was really tired. I think all of Bates felt a little tired. We had a really kick-ass day on Friday.
Right.
It was just fast, super fast. Went hard. My legs were exhausted, but it was still a good day, good effort for sure.
Well, and that's tough because, if you have a really great first day, as you mentioned, you got to go again the next day. I mean, that's something you're used to. It's every week. Right?
Yeah, it's every week. Yeah, you got to race 2 days.
So last time we were on, I think we talked about how your first year, I think you missed basically because of injury, right?
Yeah.
And you were able to get your feet wet collegiate-wise last year. What have you kind of seen yourself develop, from last year now to this year, perhaps?
Yeah, just my results have gotten a lot better and more confident, I think, on the race circuit. Having some top 20 finishes is really exciting always. And I didn't do that last year. So I think just getting faster and getting more familiar with the whole circuit for sure.
Great. And academically, what are you studying here at Bates?
Environmental economics and earth systems.
Is that what you came in wanting to do?
No, not at all. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was undecided for a long time.
What made that the field for you thought?
I liked the mix of different interdisciplinary courses, and I liked econ a lot, and I liked learning about environmental stuff, and I liked doing science, so it was a good mix for me.
And how have you learned to kind of balance that with the skiing? Because it's a lot of hours, I know that.
It's a lot of hours, yeah. I think it just is practice. I mean, it was similar in high school. You just get good at missing classes and staying on top of your work and trying to do it all, yeah.
Great. What are your thoughts on the Bates Carnival and what you're looking forward to for the upcoming weekends here?
Yeah, so Bates was just great. We had some of our best results for both men and women, which was so exciting. So coming into the last 2 carnivals, it's like we have good momentum. I'm hoping we improve on that or, do something exciting. And then we have Chummy Cup as well, which is just like our main race, which is a big deal. So we're all really jazzed for that. And hopefully we bring home the cup again.
Sounds good, Maya Seckinger. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
The baseball team heads to Florida soon, with the Bobcats getting their season underway Monday at 4:30 p.m. against Elmira at the Russ Matt Invitational. Head coach John Martin previews the season. Well, baseball season is here. On the Bobcast, head coach John Martin with us, coming off a 9-3 record in NESCAC play last season. Coach Martin, it's got to be a good feeling to have 3 first-team All-NESCAC returnees, and it's right up the middle, catcher, pitcher, center field.
It is, and thanks for having me, Aaron. But I think that, that kind of plays along with our defensive philosophy is to be strong up the middle. And that would be catcher, pitcher, middle infield, and center field. And I think we are. Having these 3 guys back with Collins, Aaron, and Beal, I mean, it means a lot. They're leaders on and off the field. They're true ball players. They love to compete. And I know that they're going to come out this year and get it going early.
And all 3 of those guys competed in the Futures League this past summer. What kind of experience does that give them?
It's great. We try to push our players to play in the summer, if at all possible, whatever their situation is. We try to accommodate that with a summer league team. The Futures League is very good baseball. It's a very competitive, recognized league for summer college players. I think a lot of them, that play in that league get better when they come back, and that's what the end goal is. So I think that the experience there, I think it'll help them in the long run this year.
Trip to Florida coming up. Obviously, the big question mark, with Nolan Collins being the clear number 1 starter, Justin Foley having graduated, how are you going to use this Florida trip to kind of like weed in, I guess, who you want in that rotation going forward?
Well, we expect Nolan to anchor down the staff. I mean, he's a captain, he's a senior captain. And a lot of that, having that title wasn't necessarily that he had such a good or has had a good career or such a good year last year. It was that, I expect him to help anchor down the staff and help me manage it a little bit as far as the focus and the intensity and the leadership goes. And who's coming up after him? I mean, we have some options. I think we've definitely got talent on this staff and we've got depth, but there's some question marks there. But I think that's what the Florida trip is about, is kind of experimenting a little bit and seeing who's best in what role as we move into the heart of the season. Don't be surprised if you see a young guy or 2, maybe a first year or 2 or sophomore get in there, and we give them an early crack at it just to see kind of what they're made of. But we've got depth, we've got talent, we've got experience, and I think as long as we throw strikes and we stay in the strike zone with a high strike percentage, I expect us to be in every game we play.
Who are maybe a few guys who are maybe been a little bit under the radar the past few years who might emerge this season, you think, whether it be offensively or on the mound?
Yeah, I think we've got some other guys that I'm expecting to step up a little bit. I mean, looking at our infield, I love our infield options. Mm-hmm. Giovanni Torres, obviously, a very solid defensive player. Looking for him to kind of spark it a little bit this year defensively and hold his own offensively at the plate also. Kyle Carter, another senior. I mean, we have 12 seniors, so there's a lot of seniors that could be in the mix this year. Has been a left side infielder for the most part, Kyle has, and we look for him to continue to develop and lead the team as a senior infielder. We have Zach Avila back, who took a year off. It's good to have Zach back. He looks very good in the infield. He can play a variety of positions. Will Sylvia, another captain, that outfielder. Looking for him to earn a spot and lead this team as a senior captain this year. He's paid his dues. He's done a good job. And obviously Jack. I mean, Jack, having a catcher of Jack's caliber behind the plate is always nice to have, and it's kind of having a general on the field that kind of runs the show when I'm not out there. But those are just a few guys. But I think we've got a lot of depth. I think that we've got a lot of options on who could play where. Other pitchers that I think you should look for. Miles Machad is another one, a senior that's had a lot of appearances, but I expect him to take on a big role this year. We've got a couple first years. Matt Spend is a left-hander from Maryland that has done a good job, preparing himself in the weight room and getting ready for the spring season. I expect him to have an impactful year also. We've got, a few more seniors and some other younger guys on the mound too that I think, we'll look forward to contribute this year.
It is such a big roster, as a lot of college baseball teams are. What do you say to some of the guys who, aren't going to be playing in terms of how they can still, help the team?
Yeah, every player is important, and it doesn't matter to me as much, who's starting, who's not starting, who's playing more, who's not playing more. It's that you show me and you show the rest of the team that you're a team player, and it's about winning games, and it's about doing your job and accepting your role the best you can. If you have everybody pulling in the same direction in baseball, a lot of good things can happen. If there's a lot of loose ends and everybody's going in different directions, you'll lose games that you should probably win, and that can be a problem. And a lot of that is more psychological than anything else. So one thing that I try to do is get the players to understand that we need you in this role, whatever that role may be. You need to do it 100%. If we decide moving forward that we need you to take on a bigger role, then we'll figure that out as we move on. But for the guys that aren't playing every day, and there will be some, it's okay. It's okay. Just show up every day and work hard and keep a positive attitude, and I'll take notice of that.
How about I'm curious about Brian Gotti, because he's a guy who flashed some significant power last season. He looks the part of a slugger. What's his next step as a player entering his sophomore year?
Yeah, he's definitely got some power in his bat. I mean, he's a big kid. He's very physical on the field. I expect him to step it up this year, another level from last year, and each year continuing after that. He's going to have a good opportunity. We have a couple other options there. Noah Laughlin is a returner who's had some playing time and some big at bats for us. He's ready to go. I know that he's prepared himself the best he can. Alex Ross is another one, a first year that's over there, and then Matt Connolly is another one that can play first base also. So there is options. There's competition. There's competition in every position, really. Gotti, I mean, big expectations for him, but he's going to be pushed just like everybody else, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, Noah Laughlin, I feel like got a lot of at-bats last year. It seems like he is another guy who is on the verge of maybe having a breakthrough.
Yeah, I hope so. I think he can. He's definitely got the ability. Swings the bat well. He's gotten a lot faster with his foot speed. He's really been working on that. And he's just a lot more athletic around the bag. So I think just physically seeing him, maybe lose a little weight, get a little stronger, increase his foot speed a little bit. I think that's just going to help him in the long run.
So your schedule in Florida a little bit different from last season's slate, right?
It is. So last year we only had Augustana, and then we had Capital at the end. This year we're going to play Elmira twice, Brandeis twice, and we'll play Capital at the end also.
And Brandeis is a pretty solid team in the New England area, right?
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah.
They're good. All these teams are good. They're all competitive. It's early in the season for all of us, so and also as the week goes on, the pitching gets shaken up, and maybe you're starting a reliever, or whatever. The guys are in different roles, so it's always interesting early in the season to see how teams produce. But Elmira's a good club. They can definitely beat us, if we don't show up and get it done. Brandeis is the same thing. Capital last year, scrappy team. Definitely have some talent and some speed on the bases, but it's just like every other game. I mean, it doesn't really matter so much who we're playing. It's that we take care of our side of things, and we control what we can control.
One thing about the NESCAC this year is I believe the tournament is going to be different, right? They've changed it. Can you break that down for us?
Yeah, it's going to be 2 weeks, so we'll have 8 teams in it. First time we've done it with 8 teams. It's been 4 teams since I've been here and since I can remember. So it'll be 8 teams. First round will be best 2 of 3 crossovers, and then the winners of each pool will go into the final double elimination tournament the next week.
Well, how does that change things, if at all, in terms of the regular season? I mean, it's going to be, I hate to say easier, but it's going to be easier to make the tournament, I guess.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you look at it that way, but I don't really see it that way. I see it as I want to host, and and I want to get to that final championship round. So it does change things, and it's going to be an interesting format. I'm interested to see how it shakes out. But I right now I'm not worried about making the postseason as much as I am like let's prepare to go down to Florida, and then we'll reevaluate things after this trip.
Yeah, because after this trip you do get basically a month of reevaluation time before your next game.
No, we'll play in a couple weeks, but it's all weekend stuff, doubleheaders on some turf fields in New England, but. Yeah, there's a little bit of a break, so we're gonna go down and push it in the sun and see how we come out, and then just revamp if we need to, or reevaluate and prepare for the next series, which would be Nichols and Endicott, which would be in March.
Gotcha. Okay, and then any other thoughts on the upcoming season you wanted to share that we haven't discussed yet?
No, I'm excited. I think we've got a fun group. We've got some energy. We've got a lot of talent. I know that we're going to be loose when we take the field. We'll play the game hard. We'll play the game with respect and play it the right way. And, I'm excited for a good season ahead in 2020.
All right, John Martin, thanks so much.
Thanks a lot.
The women's squash team took 5th at the NESCAC Championships over the weekend. Team nationals are up next for the women, and senior captain Lutza Polgar hopes to become an All-American later in the year at individual nationals. Meanwhile, we're taking the February break off, but in 2 weeks, the Bobcast returns with a full recap of the opening week of baseball season, a look at how the basketball teams did in their upcoming NESCAC tournaments, and a full lacrosse preview. That's in 2 weeks on the Bates Bobcast.
Bates!